Right, hi guys, and welcome back to the Crawl Room. We're here back once again in this wonderful ranty room for all things Formula 1. And wow, what a spectacular race the Bahrain short circuit brought up to us. And realistically, it was much thanks given to Jack Aitken that created all the excitement. If it wasn't for him going off, we could have had a fairly mundane race. We had an exciting start, of course, but then that meant that the latter and middle part of the race wasn't too spectacular. But once Jack Aitken went off and caused that safety car, we had pit stop blunders, we had dramas with tyres, we had everything. We had a brand new race winner in Formula 1. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. So as always, if you've never seen this series before, I'm going to score the drivers out of a possible 10 points if you've had a really good weekend, and a lowest of 0 if you've had a particularly bad one. There will be bonus points and there will be minus points if you've done really well or really badly. Needless to say, there's going to be quite a few of both, so strap yourselves in because this is going to be a spicy one. And a quick thing just before we get on with the scores, Romain Grosjean will sadly not be at Abu Dhabi at the time of recording. He has announced that he will not be fitting well enough, sadly, to race. So get well soon, Grosjean, in your recovery. And yeah, Pietro Fittipaldi, I'm sure, will take that seat once again for Abu Dhabi. But yeah, look forward to your testing a Mercedes F1 car to finish your Formula 1 campaign off though, Roman, because they've offered you one, so you'd be stupid not to take it. Get well soon, Roman, and I can't wait for that test to happen, surely in the new year at some point. But yeah, get well soon, Roman. So we're going to kick things off with the race winner, of course. We are the champions, my friends. But I've not got a race seat next year. It's Sergio Perez, the race winner. But let's think about it. Where was he at the end of lap 1? It was at the back of the grid and having to make a pit stop after contact with Charles Leclerc that was not Perez's fault, despite Brundle trying to put the blame on him. Martin Brundle there in the Sky commentary was like, oh, bloody hell, Perez should have left more room for Charles there, should have left more room. And then went over to Anthony Davidson, he's like, what was Leclerc doing there? He just lunged it up the inside and said, oh yeah, I agree, Anthony, absolutely, yeah. Change your tune then, didn't you, Martin? What a knob. So yeah, Perez taken out at the start of the race and looking like he was back into the points within like 17, 18 laps, or was something like that, wasn't it? Of course, they had the safety car for the initial incident, because obviously Verstappen was in the wall, Leclerc was in the wall, so the safety car period brought him back onto the back of the crocodile, and he climbed up through into the top 10 roughly around, I think it was around lap 18, 19, something like that, but nonetheless a staggering drive. And then it all just fell together again when we had the virtual safety car then inherited later on to a full safety car once again, as Aitken went off and took his front wing off, and that was left on the racing line. They didn't pit again, they didn't need to, they'd already done their 2 stops that they had to do. I think they're only going for a 1 stop anyway. And then there you go, he was in the lead of the race, commanding victory. And then the only person looking to rival him, George Russell, who had had a problem previously, ended up having another tyre problem and having to pit, and then that was that. He got a 9-second gap over Ocon by the flag. A dominant drive, and well done to Sergio Perez. And it's going to be none other than 20 points. 20 points for that absolutely sensational drive. It could have had 3 podiums in a row and one of them a win. That's how mental it's been. If his car didn't blow up with 3 laps to go last weekend, we could have been looking at 3 podiums on the bounce for Perez. That is absolutely crazy. Thoroughly deserving of a Formula 1 seat. And Red Bull, come on, just give him the call. Just give him a call, come on. Give him the ring and give us the news that everyone needs, because he's proved himself, hasn't he? He has proved himself beyond any doubt now. These last 3 races, even if you take the rest of it out of consideration, these last 3 races, he's done some sensational things. And this race weekend, to have a brilliant qualifying, be up at the front once again, taken out, back to the back, and then back to front again. Amazing! 9 seconds, victory. After all that chaos. So yeah, 20 points to Sergio Perez. Then we come to Esteban Ocon, and he was a big beneficiary of the virtual safety car, then the safety car. Without that, it wasn't looking too good, was it? He was looking on the cusp of the top 10, around 8th or 9th. But that safety car period and the virtual safety car period really helped him just climb up the order. As the other cars then pitted, they slipped behind him and they couldn't get back through. So yeah, unbelievable stuff from Esteban Ocon. It was tricky to see what actually happened and how we got there, to be honest, because I was more focused on what the Mercedes were fucking up at, but we'll get to them in a second. But yeah, nonetheless, Ocon in the last 2 rounds especially has been looking really strong around Bahrain at both configurations. Bahrain last race, he just couldn't quite get it together for Ricciardo, could he? In terms of beating him, and he had to let him past a couple of times just for the strategy and things. But this weekend, he proved that he's got the pace there, and this is the best drive we've seen of him. I mean, I'm not just saying that because he got the podium. He was behind Ricciardo, but I think he'd have finished ahead anyway. So I think he'd done quite well in that sense. But these last 2 weekends, I think he's really proved his worth, but it just didn't come quite good last time. Whereas this time, it was looking okay. The luck went on his side a little bit, and then he ended up inheriting a podium. So fantastic effort for that. And he kept Stroll behind him as well. Let's not forget that Racing Point was slippery. It was 9 seconds up the road ahead of him. So to keep the other one behind, a solid job. So it's going to be 12 points to Esteban Ocon. A cracking drive. Fantastic stuff, Esteban. And your maiden podium. So a maiden winner and a maiden podium finish this weekend. Sensational stuff. So yeah, well done to Esteban. Then it's time for Lance Stroll, and what could be said for Lance's race? He was not on the pace of Perez in the start of the race, and then obviously Perez got turned round. But then it just kind of came together. He was one of those again that he just fell together for. I think it was because they extended the soft tyres compared to what the other cars did. He was running around on really, really old soft tyres at one point, wasn't he? And I think that gave him the benefit. But nonetheless, a fantastic drive for Stroll to pick up that podium at the end. Sainz was nibbling at the bit, wasn't he, just at the end there, but wasn't to be. He couldn't get past him. Sainz was unlucky, to be honest. He should have really had a podium. Once again, it's like that Monza situation, isn't it? They were happy with the podium, but then they could have won that race, and same again here. They were running round in that 3rd place. The Mercedes bottled up. They should have been winning it, but here they are down in 4th. It's such a shame. But nonetheless, for Lance Stroll, it's going to be 9 points for his race. I think it was solid enough. It's a podium, his 3rd podium of his career. So well worth noting. Yeah, but just wasn't on form compared to Perez. Had he not been on the podium, I'd have probably given him a lot less. I think 9 points is very generous. But at the end of the day, it's a podium for a team that is battling for 3rd in the Constructors' Championship. And that has given them a massive boost. So I've got to see it from a team's perspective, driver's perspective. And it was a good race by Racing Point. So well done to the pair of them. And 9 points, I think, is fair for Lance Stroll. Then, as mentioned, it is Carlos Sainz, the unlucky one once again. The McLaren team looking like they were going to benefit everything. They were running around 3rd with Sainz. Mercedes bottled up and thought, right, here we go, we're going to lead. But it just didn't go that way, did it? It just didn't go to plan for them. And there they were, down in 6th at one point, but ended up back in to 4th place. So, damage limitation. But that, I can't believe the swing for this 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. If only this was for the lead. We'd all be dead. We'd all be dying of heart attacks, wouldn't we? But yeah, for Carlos Sainz, a cracking race once again, and it's going to be 9 points to him. It was a fantastic drive by him to get the points, and well done for that. You know, a top job, a top drive. More often than not, they'll be pleased with P4, but look who finished ahead. And I'm not sure what it's done to the constructors now, but I know Racing Point are back in 3rd, let's put it that way. The pendulum effect of these last couple of races have been absolutely crazy in that battle. So yeah, I'm not sure what the point standings are. McLaren have lost that P3 though, but nonetheless, it's Carlos Sainz, 4th place. Okay, good race, so 9 points to him. Then it's Daniil Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon's teammate, and he looked to be the lead Renault for most of that race, but again, it just came undone with him. They were trying to match the likes of the AlphaTauris that did a crazy strategy that really cost them, and of course, they all copied, and that's what cost them. So yeah, 5th for Ricciardo. I think it's going to be bittersweet for that result. He's going to be pleased that Ocon was up there, of course. He's naturally a nice guy. But I think it's just going to be a bit of resentment that he wasn't the one up there, considering it looks like he got the measure of his teammate, although they were very closely matched, as mentioned earlier on this weekend. So yeah, Daniil Ricciardo, short and sweet. It's going to be 8 points for him, if I can count. There we go, 8 points. It's been a long time since I was at school, so let me off. But yeah, 8 points to Daniil Ricciardo, a solid enough job. 10 points on the board for Renault, 28-point haul. That's decent, very good for them. Chomping at the bit on McLaren now, I believe, if they're not already ahead. It's so close, I can't quite remember. But yeah, nonetheless, fantastic drive by Ricciardo. Unlucky to miss out on the pit strategy. It could have been, to be honest, everyone at some point potentially lost out on the victory there. Let's be honest, that's simple as that. If no one had pitted, it'd have all stayed the same, and it'd probably been an AlphaTauri 1-3. That's how crazy this race could have been. So yeah, 8 points for, can't count again, there we go, Daniel Ricciardo. Then we come to the curious case of Alexander Albon. Ah, dearie me. 12th in qualifying, pathetic. In the race, P nowhere for most of it, 9th, 10th at best, and then just slightly inherited a couple of places because of the pit stop strategies and everything that happened with the virtual safety car and safety car. No to write home about though, is it, P6? This is where Albon should be there to win the goddamn race. Verstappen's out, so that's his teammate out, you know. Just Perez is hindered, he's been spun round backwards. Leclerc, who was looking quick's out. Mercedes bottle it up. There you are. That is your chance to take victory. Grab it with both hands, but instead he just goes, I've dropped it. That's it, gone. Drop the ball. He's down in 12th in qualifying, can't do out in the race. P6, pathetic. And come on now. Red Bull, as much as I like Albon as a person, this really is the time now to go, let's get Perez in this car, Helmut. Come on. I know you're shit at decisions, but come on, he's winning races, you know. He's winning races. He had 2 races off for COVID. He's still 4th in championship. It's mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental. So, yeah, Alex Albon. It's just going to be 4 points. I'm going to award him some, but 4 points. And, yeah, a bit of a whinge, I suppose. I don't know. It was just average, wasn't it? Once again. Then we come to Daniil Kvyat, severely hindered by AlphaTauri's strategy and didn't get it right with the virtual safety car or safety car at all. Of course, you never know when they're going to happen in F1, but they were the first to pit the first time round and they were the first to pit the second time round, and they missed out massively. The strategy just went Pete Tong. They had a load of cars ahead, get a virtually free pit stop as a result of the virtual safety car and safety car, so they got leapfrogged there. But Kvyat charged his way through to get 7th place. He was running round in 4th, so he lost 3 places overall as a result of that chaos and him just pitting early. But he did a better job than Gasly, so fair play to him. Out-qualified Gasly as well, let's not forget this weekend. In the race, it was looking like they were together, weren't they? So again, I don't really count it when they're together because they can never be side by side all race. But he was slightly ahead of him. And then it just all went wrong, but he made the best of the worst strategy, if that makes sense. It was a pathetic strategy. AlphaTauri got it wrong. I thought, oh God, we might only get in a couple of points here for 9th, but Kvyat went as far forward as he could, and P7 is respectable. So for that reason, it's going to be 8 points for Daniil Kvyat. I think that was a solid enough drive. The first driver really to miss out on potential big points. I know everyone else sort of like said, oh, I could have won, I could have got a podium. Yeah, but they were still in the top 5 to do that. They still got big points, but the one to really miss out was from P4. Mercedes blunders, potentially could have been on the podium there. So Kvyat lost out but made the best of a bad situation to get 7th place. Not his fault at all why he's down there. 8 points I think is very respectable for a P7 finish there. The best of a bad situation. Well done, Danny. And then it's Valtteri Bottas, who finished in 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? George Russell! That's right. Oh, Valtteri Bottas. He wiped your ass, didn't he? Oh, dearie me. Oh, Valtteri. Oh, God. I don't know whether you should beg or whether you should just admit defeat nobly. And Toto Wolff to Sky Germany actually said that we need to have a talk with their side because that wasn't a good race today to Sky Media Germany. So that was, oh dear indeed, Valtteri. But at the end of the day, this is what happens when you get someone that is like, right, you're team bitch, okay, you're team bitch to Lewis. Yeah, great. Right, George is in the car now. Yeah, but it's still Hamilton's car. Do I still need to be a bitch? No, Valtteri, you can win. Okay, what? I don't know, I might just get a bad start and see how it goes, shall I? It was crap. It was absolutely crap. Pathetic. It was just so bad. It was awful. I'm not blaming him. I'm going to say this for now. I'm not blaming him why he ended up in 8th place at all. The pit stop blunder cost him dear. That wasn't his fault. He ended up going back on the tyres he actually came into the pits with, which were too old and they were hard tyres. So it was a sitting duck from that point on. I'm not whinging at that bit. I'm not actually whinging about the finishing position of 8th. It was the fact that George Russell had 8 seconds over you at one point, pal. And that's his first time in a car that he doesn't fecking fit in, for starters. He don't fit in the car, it's not built for him. His helmet were nearly blocking the fecking air duct, that's how tall he were. He had size 10 shoes on a size 11 foot. How awful must that be? And there he is, less than a blink of an eye, slower than you're in qualifying. And then in the race he wins you. That is unbelievable, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, Valtteri Bottas, that is minus 12,000 points for you, my friend. I would disqualify you, but I just like to torture you a little bit more. So yeah, Valtteri Bottas, minus 12,000 points. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, the human, you need to have consideration for that, and it does affect him. I'm totally with you, and I totally appreciate that. To everyone that says, yep, the human, they've got emotion. I completely get that. But Bottas puts himself in these situations when you moan at him, when he wins one race in every 4,000 and goes, to whom it may concern, fuck you. I'm sorry, but the hate is deserved when you do shit like that every time, when you have one good race every now and again. So yeah, there you go. Minus 12,000 to Valtteri Bottas. The bottle job. Then finishing one position behind him in P9, after leading the race comfortably, dealing with a pit stop blunder which put him down to 5th, getting back up to 2nd and was looking likely to win the race, to then have a puncture, have to pit again, and still finish one place behind you. It is George Russell, the stand-in. George. This just sums his luck up, doesn't it? This just sums his luck up of Formula 1. He got fastest lap, 9th place, that's 3 points on the board. The first 3 points of his career, but wow, oh wow, it could have been so much more. Less than a blink of an eye behind your teammate in qualifying on your first ever time as a stand-in in a car you don't fit in, that's not built for you, it's built for Lewis. And you jump in, do that, have a cracking start off the line, lead the race comfortably, you're talking to the team as if you are in charge. You know, he had some assertiveness there. It's like, just tell me when to push and I'll push, guys. Tyres are fine, I'm okay doing this. Yep, I can extend the gap if you want. Yeah, I'll avoid them turns. Oh, what setting do I need for this sensor problem? Yep, we'll sort that out, no problem. He had everything thrown at him, didn't he? He had everything thrown at him, and he was dealing with it comfortably, maturely, and like a true champion. And then it all goes wrong with that pit stop blunder where they put Valtteri's tyres on. He has to then come and do another stop. We're still not sure what's going to happen to George for this, but I remember a couple of years back when Williams did it with Valtteri. They got fined and the team wasn't really actually... It was the team fined and the driver was okay, because obviously it's a team error. But we'll wait and see. It's the FIA, they'll do what they want. But yeah, overall, then he came back, he was 5th, he was charging through the field, he got a 2.5 second gap to Perez, so he'd made inroads on that by about 7th, 10th in a couple of laps, and then reported slow puncture on the rear right, and he had to come in and pit, and then that was that. It was all over, he was down to 14th place, and then he still charged his way through up and got one place behind Valtteri Bottas. It was not the race he wanted, but it's a race that proved everyone what he was capable of. And don't get me wrong, you'll know if you watch this series often, or if you go back and watch the scores that I've awarded him. At some points I've been thinking, George, this isn't good enough. Crashing behind safety cars, bottling it after brilliant qualifyings. It's not you. You know, this is not what Mercedes need. But they've given him the call, they've given him the chance, and he delivered. He delivered, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So yeah, a massive, massive respect to George Russell. Proving his haters wrong. I'd like to say he has proved me wrong in some respects as well, because there were some races, like I mentioned, that I was just thinking, George, come on, pal, this is silly now. And sure enough, yeah, I'm not a hater, I'm an absolute lover of George. The guy's a legend. I think the bloke's fantastic. The lad's amazing. He's a great, great lad. And yeah, he proved me wrong. So yeah, fantastic effort, George. It's going to be 20 points for that, because not only did you have a fantastic drive, and it's not sympathy points that at all, in no way is that sympathy points. He had a few practice sessions, a qualifying session, and a race to try and get up to speed in a car that he didn't fit in. And he went and did that performance. Phenomenal stuff. So no sympathy points. He'd been getting 20 points if it had won. There were, you know, it doesn't make any difference. You know, it was... The race result overall wasn't what I wanted it to be. But wow, oh wow, he proved himself. He proved himself. So 20 points to George Russell. Well done, lad. Pleased for you. Come on. Let's get that Merc seat off of Bottas now. Then we come to the final points paying position of Lando Norris. What can be said about Lando? Absolutely fantastic first couple of laps from the back of the grid after a poor qualifying, changed an engine or certainly some components, which meant he started right at the back, and he gained all those places in the first couple of laps and was into 10th place. And you thought, brilliant, if he keeps going forward like this, he'll be in the top 5 comfortably. And then he just petered out, didn't he? He went up and then levelled out. And he never got any higher than 9th in the race at any point, I don't think, after that. So, yeah, I need to look into that, really, what happened. But strategy obviously played a part in some form there. But it was just very strange, wasn't it? Like, the cars were pitting, like when Ocon pitted, and he came out behind them. And he was, like, behind a couple of seconds. It wasn't as if he was close to even battle them. He had a couple of lunges with Albon, didn't he, at one stage? But apart from that, it was just really strange to see him climb all the way up there and then just stay there. I mean, I know the McLaren's not the fastest and he had to battle with quite quick cars, but I'd have thought overall with the DRS and things, he'd have been able to get past a couple, but just stalemate, wasn't it? Just stayed around in the P10 position and picked up a point. So, yeah, for Lando Norris, a bit of a poor qualifying there. He said it was his fault. He pushed too early, then backed off, then pushed again. The tyres had already passed the best at that point, so that's why he lined up 15th. Penalty, dropped him down to 20th, then up to 10th. An okay race, but not fantastic. So it's just 6 points to Lando Norris. Then we come to Pierre Gasly, and after a decent qualifying, but behind Kvyat mainly. Then in the race, of course, he was doing well. He was on the back of his teammate. There were two together, the AlphaTauris together. Then the pit strategies all went wrong, and he ended up 11th and outside the points. Now, that is unfortunate, absolutely. But Kvyat went up there and finished 7th, and he was on the same compromise strategy as Gasly. So I've got to take that into account. And unfortunately, it wasn't one of the best drives by Gasly this weekend. Out-qualified, was being outraced, and eventually was outraced by your teammate. So yeah, for Pierre Gasly, it's just going to be 6 points for him. Yeah, I know, an okay race, but I think he should have had points, definitely. He should have been at least behind his teammate, if not 9th at the very worst, to pick up a couple. But yeah, big shame for AlphaTauri there. They could have been scooping some big points had they got the strategy just right. But unfortunately, pitting before a virtual safety car. Of course, we never know what's going to happen. But that was really just compromised them this weekend. And such a shame to see. So yeah, just 6 points for Gasly. Not his best race this season, it must be said. Then we come to Sebastian Vettel. You spin. No, he didn't. He didn't spin. He didn't. I promise. I promise. I watched F1 TV bits afterwards. He didn't spin. He was very crap. He locked up. He went wide a few places. Didn't spin. So there you go. So Sebastian Vettel wasn't running around in the points at any point of the race. Was out-qualified by his teammate massively. Oh, yeah, the race was just running around 11th, 12th, and that's me done for the day. Thank you very much. I'm better than the Class C cars, but I'm not as good as the Class B cars. So, yeah, I'll just stay here in 12th and mind my own business. Thank you very much. And it's as simple as 0 points to Sebastian Vettel, because even though Leclerc took out the whole world on lap 1, Leclerc could have been up there at least, wouldn't he? I think it'd have been a podium if they'd got the strategy right, at the very least. So, yeah. 0 for Vettel. Just finish with you. You're taking a seat of a driver that's won a race after starting at the back and then going back to the front again, and it's just pathetic, isn't it? Just pathetic. Then we come to the Italian stallion. It's Antonio Giovinazzi. And what could be said for Antonio? I actually thought it was a decent race by him this weekend. Qualifying was well. He was into Q2 and ended up qualifying 14th. Fair play for that. Solid enough effort in an Alfa Romeo to get through into Q2 on a merit. Fair play, fair play. The race itself got a little bit quiet, didn't it? They were having a battle with the Williams. That was quite nice to see in the early stages. There was the two Williams, the two Alfa Romeos, of course, and then Fittipaldi and the Haas that were all battling around each other, the early stages. Nice to see that. Nice to see a little battle at the back there. Sadly, it wasn't further forward, but there you go. But Latifi seemed to have the measure of the Class C field today. And, yeah, Latifi unfortunately retired. He ended up finishing ahead of his teammate, which, of course, was crucial. But, yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't the leader of the Class C team until Latifi retired. So, yeah, for that reason, it's going to be 7 points for Antonio. I think it was a decent drive. Respectable enough. Points were never possible. But, yeah, he was doing okay. It was a decent race. Ended up taking the Class C honours as a result of Latifi's problems. Without that, it'd have been one place behind. But, at the end of the day, out-qualifying and out-racing your teammate is what I judge it on mainly. And he did both of those, so well done to Antonio. Then it's time for Kimi Raikkonen, and as mentioned, he was out-qualified by his teammate, and then, in the end, out-raced by his teammate. He had that spin on the lap 1, didn't he? Didn't elect to pit, which I thought was really strange of him to do, because I'd have sworn those tyres were flat-spotted, spinning and pirouetting at turn 3. The safety car came out, so a bit of a strange one not to pit there. That could have potentially compromised him with flat spots. But at the end of the day, he did an okay job. As mentioned, he was involved in the Williams Alpha battle, of course, because he was an Alpha. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was okay. Not much to see at the back of the field, unfortunately, after those battles in the early stages. But for the most part, did a solid enough job. And for that reason, it's going to be 6 points. Didn't do as good a job as his teammate, as mentioned. Out-qualified, out-raced. But yeah, okay for Kimi. So 6 points. Average-ish. Then it's time for Kevin Magnussen, and what could be said for him after an initial good getaway, as he always does. He eventually just slipped back down the order. He was behind both Williams at one point and both Alfa Romeos, so a bit of a shame in that sense. He was doing okay though, but nothing special, and I don't think he deserves the points that Alfa Romeo have been got with the 7th and 6th. So for that reason, it's going to be 5 points for K-Mag. Yeah, just a shame for us, isn't it? The P nowhere really. Yeah, an initial good getaway, a good start, but then after that, unfortunately, that was that. And yeah, he ended up finishing pretty much last of the runners, just ahead of his teammate. So there you go. But of course, before we get to Kevin Magnussen's teammate, there is one car I forgot about. It's Jack Aitken in the Williams. Oh, it was such a shame for Jack to have that spin, wasn't it? And knock his front wing off. Although it created the drama it created, of course, we're really excited for that. I think Aitken was doing a better job than what we saw of just that spin on its own. And that's a shame. It was a shame to see that, because he was doing a good job. The thing I need to compare him here is with his teammate for one, and then also with Fittipaldi. Let's be honest, they're the two we've got to compare him against, because Fittipaldi's a newcomer as well. And for the race, it was doing okay. Okay, wasn't he? He was racing around with, of course, the Alfa Romeos, as mentioned. They were having a cracking battle there. And he was at one stage ahead of Kevin Magnussen and Raikkonen at one point. It was certainly one of the Alphas anyway. So he was having a good drive in that sense. And, of course, ahead of Fittipaldi. So, an okay race. But, unfortunately, I do have to take that front wing knock-off into consideration. And it's going to be a middle-of-the-road 5 points for Aitken. I was bordering on 6, to be honest with you, but then after he knocked his wing off, unfortunately, just 5 points there. But not to worry, if, of course, Hamilton can't race for Abu Dhabi, which in theory, I hope he does. I hope Hamilton, because I want to see the grid get back to as normal as possible for a season finale. It'd be a shame for drivers to miss out on the last race, but if Aitken gets another chance at Abu Dhabi, then so be it. I'll be more than comfortable for him to do that. I think Williams would be happy with his performance this weekend. And I think Abu Dhabi can get that mileage in to practice a little bit more. What he's learnt at Bahrain. And from there, it can only go forwards, can't it? So, yeah, middle of the road 5 for Jack. But, yeah, fair play for you this weekend. Tough circumstances to come in on. But, yeah, you did okay. And then, of course, it is time for Kevin Magnussen's new teammate, Pietro Fittipaldi, making his debut, the 5th of the Fittipaldi family to finally get into Formula 1 and have at least one race. So, yeah, it looks like Fittipaldi will be racing again at Abu Dhabi, obviously due to the fact that Grosjean has decided he's not going to be fit and well enough. So we wish Grosjean all the best once again. But for Pietro, it was an okay race, wasn't it? Qualifying, I think he was about 5/10 shy off 19th, so half a second there around a relatively short circuit. Not too good, but in the grand scheme of things, the lack of F1 experience he's had, it's got to be noted that he did a solid enough job. And the main thing is, he kept it out of trouble, didn't he? He didn't wreck the car, he's not damaged the car at any point this weekend. He's kept it on the road and done the best job he can, and that has to be commended. So for that reason, it's going to be a middle-of-the-road 5 points for Pietro as well. If he does race in Abu Dhabi, which I'm more than likely he will, I'll judge his rating based more there. But again, at least he's got some mileage under his belt. He's had a full race weekend under his belt as well, of course. So hopefully that spurs his confidence on for the next race. But just so difficult to judge these two newcomers. They've both done the best job they can in the circumstances and lack of practice they both had. So I can't criticise them for that. So yeah, Abu Dhabi, fingers crossed if they're both there. Then yeah, we'll see how they get on there. But yeah, just 5 points for Pietro. Then we come to Nicholas Latifi, and as mentioned, leading the Class C team and doing an okay job. Out in Q1, so Williams, yeah, maybe George would have got through into Q2. but he wasn't in the car this weekend, so he out-qualified his teammate for the first time this season, of course, Jack Aitken. And then in the race was doing a solid job there in P13 for most of the race. Got up to P13, stayed there. With any more dramas and collisions, he could have ended up maybe scraping a point. So he put himself in the best position possible with the car that he had, and then unfortunately broke down. So that was a great shame for Latifi there. He was doing a solid enough job. And for that reason, it's going to be 7 points. Might be a tad harsh after I've just said how good I thought he did in the race, but we never saw the true outcome or potential of the ending of the race, did we? So for that reason, 7 points for Latifi. Did a solid enough drive, and hopefully can carry that momentum on to Abu Dhabi as well and have a good finish to the season. And then we come to Max Verstappen. It's going to be short and simple. It was an okay qualifying, as best he could have done realistically, almost taking it to the Mercedes once again, and then the race just got took out. It was a little bit of a silly error for him to just keep his foot planted and try and go wide. The gravel there, of course, was always going to send him into the wall, but I can massively appreciate there wasn't much he could have done. We can look at it after several replays and go, why did you do that? But of course, spur of the moment, it all happens, it's all over and done within like 2 seconds. So yeah, I can't criticise him for that at all. Bit of a shame, but yeah, unfortunate really. It wasn't his fault why he was there, why he was put in that position. So yeah, it's just going to be a middle of the road 5 points for Verstappen. Couldn't judge the race at all, out on lap 1, nothing could have done, really. It's just one of those things. So yeah, fingers crossed he can have a good ending to the season at Abu Dhabi. But a missed opportunity once again for Red Bull to take a win there, wasn't it? Let's be honest. It could have been a win this weekend if Verstappen had just kept it on the road. But there you go. That is racing, isn't it? So yeah, 5 points to Max. And then we come to Charles Leclerc. Here you go, way too fast. You don't slow down, you're gonna crash. You're gonna crash in turn 3. Take out the whole field, you prick. Yeah, unfortunately, Charles Leclerc there. Oh, sorry, I've forgot my own catchphrase there. It's been a while, hasn't it? Sha-la-la. There you go. Yeah, what could be said about that? That was suicidal, wasn't it? I can't believe Brundle was trying to defend him for that. He just went, wham, bang, straight in, and that was it. I'm surprised he didn't take more cars out, to be honest. It doesn't matter how much room Perez gave him going wide there. He was always taking him out. He massively outbraked himself. He's got a 3-place grid penalty for Abu Dhabi, of course, the next race, due to that collision. So FIA solely putting the blame on him as well, and rightfully so. And what a shame and what a waste to squander such a fantastic qualifying. Q3 went out for 1 lap, popped it in P4. He went, right lads, that's it, I'm done. See you later. I'm off, yeah? Curry for tea? Wonderful, I'm off. And then in the race, he goes and does that. You'd have thought someone that had just done such a great job in qualifying would have thought, right, I'm P4 here. I know I need to capitalise on the start, but let's just take it easy. Let's see where the race goes. I'm in an unknown position here, effectively. Ferrari never expected to be that high up. So let's just see how the race goes. But no, he just goes lunging it up the inside. And it's like the 3rd time we've seen that now, isn't it? He lunged up the inside of course, Vettel at Austria. And ended up taking them both out of the race. And then we saw it last weekend, of course, where Vettel wasn't very happy with him. But at the same time, I think it was an okay move. It was on. But here, just wham, straight up the inside and took out the whole world. So for Charles Leclerc, or Sha-la-la, it's -10, I'm afraid. You've ruined quite a couple of drivers' cars there, and Sergio Perez to come back from that to win the race. Unbelievable stuff, because, let's be honest, if Perez had done nothing and only scraped a point or 2 at best at the end, he could have just easily gone, floor damage, I got whacked, and everyone would have gone, yeah, fair point. But there he was, up there winning the race. So I'm pleased Perez got out of that situation, but taking yourself out of that race and taking Verstappen out of the race as well, not great, is it, Charles? You could have done so much better this weekend, and you can't win a race on the first lap, but you can lose one, and that proved it this weekend. Anyone could have won that race, and you certainly lost it for yourself. So there you go, -10 points to Sha. So there you go, guys. That was the runners and riders of the Sakhir Grand Prix. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down below. Did I score any drivers too high or any too low? As always, the results are on the screen now for the Cruel Room series, done by Matthew D'Souza. Without him keeping a track of the scores, this series will be more pointless than it already is. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll be back next weekend for the finale at Abu Dhabi, the Yawn Fest. I'm not expecting it to be an exciting one, but there you go. We've had too much excitement this season. 13 different podium finishers, 1 new race winner. It's been madness, hasn't it? So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you for the next one, and much love.